In a democracy, you put things to a vote. I recently heard that quote. In a democracy, you put things to a vote. We're talking about a question right now of whether this assembly should continue our work, should convene over the course of the weekend, should take every moment available to us prior to the expiration of regular session to work on a solution. Is that a vote you're willing to take? Should the legislature remain in session? Is that a vote that we'd be willing to take? Unfortunately, in the minority party, we have no way of calling things for a vote. We have no way of putting forth a measure and setting it on this board without the concurrence of the majority party. So when we make points of personal privilege, we're trying to raise questions that we believe are important. And by the length of debate this morning, by the length of comments this morning, you think it's an important question too. In a democracy, we put things to a vote. Isn't that a good way to solve this question that we've had so much disagreement and comment on today? To look at this and to call this a political show completely misses the point. We have an established template for successful legislation that has passed through this chamber countless times before on issues big and small. Successful legislation always involves negotiations from both parties. We have working groups set up on revenue, on spending, on reforms of all kinds. And you don't need to talk to a leader, you don't need to talk to a member of the media to find out how those groups are going. Look around you, your colleagues are a part of these groups. Republicans and Democrats have been working in good faith with one another, working in good faith and making progress. I've been a part of the budget group. We had frank, candid discussions about revenue increases, about spending reductions, about how to make those two work together. There's not one solution for that. There wasn't one proposal that was floated. We investigated many options that were available. And we, both Republicans and Democrats from both the House and the Senate, showed up at meeting after meeting after meeting to have those discussions. Ask the members of those committees. Ask the members of the working groups who have been meeting over the last several days. Do they think these working groups have been productive? Do they think they are showing up to those meetings in good faith? If not, why show up? What we see is contradictory messages right now. We see rank and file members, many of you included, many rank and file members continually show up to do a good job. And then we hear short press statements that say the groups are unproductive, the groups are not persuasive, the groups are not making adequate progress. Those are contradictory statements. We don't need to rely on short reports from the media to tell us how those groups are going. Turn to the person on your left or the person on your right. Ask those members, those colleagues, those folks who you trust and who you work with, ask them what has been happening in these working group meetings. We've seen productive discussions. We've seen invitations by the governor's office for any member of the General Assembly to come in for a briefing on the budget to see where it is we stand today, what options might be available. We've seen continued agreement by members of this party, by members of your party, continued agreement to work together. We cannot pull the plug on this process. It is the only thing that will bring us to a solution. And we must use every moment available to us before the expiration of this session to continue making that progress. To pull the plug before we have exhausted every option is out of the question.